Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it, If You Don't See It, Where Is It? This is a really good exercise to put into practice to see the validity of what we're pointing to here that conceptually may not make sense at the beginning, but if you really sit with it, you'll find the truth in it. What I mean by that is that everything is a product of the imagination. Everything. The thing is that we think that some imaginings are real and some are not. Right now you say, this image you have in front of you, it's real, even though it's imagined. But for example, if you imagine of being in a trip, going on a trip, let's say in the future, you call that unreal, but it's product of the same imagination. Now, we want to make sure that these videos are practical. Practical in a sense within the context of this appearance. We don't want to leave everything up in the air, esoteric or so. So right now, if you don't identify with any thoughts, if you don't believe any thoughts, even when you're perceiving what appears to be reality, at least you're not affected psychologically by anything the mind tries to tell you about the present experience. No matter what may be happening, no matter what you may be feeling, no matter what, if you don't believe the content of the mind, meaning the imagination, which is the one that is translating, you experience that peace that surpasses all understanding. Can we agree on that? Put it to the test. Don't take anything I'm saying as the absolute truth or anything like that. Just put it to the test. If you don't believe any translation the mind is making of the present experience, you're at peace with what is. Got it? Okay. So this is a product of an imagination. Not your imagination, but imagination. It just that it appears to be real, it seems to be much real than anything else. That's fine. Let's not, again, we're going back to the practicality of this. Now, right now, let's say your partner or relationship or family, or think of someone that is not here with you right now. I don't mean that has transcended the body, even though we'll talk about it in a minute, but someone like, I don't know, your daughter or son or family member that is somewhere else. Could be the kids, could be in school, your parents could be, I don't know, in the kitchen or something. It doesn't matter. Right now, think of someone that is not here. Okay? That thought is a product of the imagination, isn't it? So, there's the product of the imagination of what I think I'm seeing, and it's the product of the imagination of what I also think I am seeing, but it's not in front of me right now. The two are products of the imagination. It's just that this seeming imagination appears to be real to me, and the imagination of my kids who are in school right now, or my friend that is somewhere else, or doesn't matter. It's still a product of the imagination. It's just that imagining, it appears as if it's not here right now, and this imagining appears as if it's real right now. Nevertheless, they're both products of the imagination. Now, pay attention. Right now, if you don't believe any thoughts about what is imagined right now, which is your seeming present experience, you're at peace with what is. Can you agree with that? If you do not believe any thoughts about any imagining that is not here, like your children in school or your parents in the kitchen, which you don't know if they're in the kitchen though, even though you may think so, because that is a storyline that somehow is being conjured up, and you can say, yeah, if I go to the kitchen I can find them. But the truth of the matter is that if you don't see them, where are they? They're just a product of the imagination. So again, right now, if you don't believe whatever story the mind tells you about the imaginings that don't seem to be here right now, how do you feel? You're at peace. You see? So, whether I believe the thoughts of what I seem to be perceiving right now, or the thoughts about that which I'm not perceiving but I think that is somewhere else, if I don't believe any of these thoughts, I experience the peace that surpasses all understanding, or just inner peace. And again, when you talk about inner peace, the mind tends to think about a particular state or calmness or something. No, the peace I'm talking about is the background, the fact that you are, if you don't allow the mind to translate anything, if you're present right now, if you don't believe the content of the mind, if you don't believe the translation, you're resting in that peace, which is what you are. It's not what you will find. It's not what you will eventually encounter, or it's not what you seek. It's what you are. Got it? Okay. Let's talk about something, let's say a little bit more, well, not dramatical per se, but the mind suggests that it's dramatical. For example, what's the difference between your kids in school right now, meaning that they're not in your presence? So technically speaking, we assume that they're in school, but just for the sake of this example, what's the difference between your kids that is in school right now and a loved one that made a transition? What's the difference? The mind tells a story. My kids in school are alive, they're here, and that's fine, so I can be okay. But the one that made a transition, I will never see them again, and therefore I'm gonna be be suffering and everything. And again, I am not trying to discard or disregard or deny any challenges that you may be seen to be experienced, even though challenges, they're interpretations, right? But anyhow, for the sake of this example, what is the difference between the imagining of your kids in school and the imagining of someone that supposedly made a transition? What is the difference? And the answer is none, because they're both are imaginings, imagination. Okay, now, why the imagination of the kids in school seems to bring you tranquility, and the imagination of someone who supposedly is no longer with us, it brings you a sadness? Well, because of the interpretation. You follow? I interpret the kids being in school as everything is okay, everything is fine. I interpret the one that is no longer with us as something sad because I'll never see them again. But the truth of the matter is that they're both products of the imagination, because the only thing that is true is right now. Can we agree with that? So why this is so difficult, or seems to be so difficult? Because in order for me to be able to have an imagination which I can attach to or identify with, is when I believe the imagining or the imagination that suggests that I am this individual. This is where the root cause is. If I believe that I'm this individual, I believe in the imagining of the world that I seem to perceive, and consequently I also will imagine about the pleasures and the things like the kids in school that I really want to be with them, or I just wanted to have a family, and the same imagining of what would it like if someone that I love is gone. You see, it's all product of the imagination. But the truth of the matter is, the only thing that is true is the fact that I am. And of course, the imagination play all kinds of tricks, the things that I want, the things that I want to avoid, and all that kind of stuff. We're not trying to deny or suppress or play the game of this is all, of letting the mind somehow conjure up stories about all that stuff. All we do is pointing to the truth of what you are, and the truth of what you are is the fact that you are. I am. That is the fact. I am. I cannot deny the fact that I am. What I superimpose on the I am is the problem. And everything that we superimpose on the I am is a thought. It's not a fact. My kids are in school. How do you know that? because my mind is telling me that. Not, when I say my mind, you know what I'm talking about. Because thought is suggesting that. I don't know. How many times you thought your kids was in, well, this might have happened to you, but again, your kids, you thought your kids was somewhere, and then before you even know it, they were somewhere else, but they didn't tell you. But you thought they were somewhere. Like the story of a kid that says, yeah, I'm going to be at my friend's house, but then they go out somewhere else in a party. You don't even know that they're somewhere else. And then they come home. Where were you? Well, I was at my friend's house. We're doing homework. And you know there was someone in a party or something. But again, this is the point. You convince yourself that they are somewhere else. And you think that brings tranquility. And if someone is leave the body, you feel that somehow you feel sad, because again, the thought is translating everything according to who you think you are. But when I know that I am, then life seems to be a play that unfolds, but the peace that is underlying, the peace that I am, is not disturbed. I'm not attached to the kids being in school. I am not attached to the story of loved one who made the transition. I'm not even attached to the belief that there's a me right now here talking. I'm just simply being, because that's a fact. This is not a denial. I'm not pretending that, okay, well, I'm not here talking, this is an illusion. No, it appears as if I'm here. It appears as if I'm talking. That's fine. I don't have any issue with that. But there's an underlying awareness, which is what these videos are pointing to. Right now, notice that awareness is organic. It's it's the experience. Awareness. You are aware. Can you be aware of? Can you not be aware? Can you not be? Now let me ask you: are you trying to make awareness happen, or awareness is just simply happens? See, this is awareness. Now, this is what is referred to as resting in awareness anyway. Because you are anyhow. So right now, as these words are coming through this seeming me, and there seems to be a you who's listening to them, and again, we're not in denial of any of that, but right now, are you not being? Are you not being? Perfect. This is all this is pointing to. Now, the only quote-unquote problem is that the mind translates beingness into some sort of a personal experience, beginning with the me. This is what is happening to me. This is what I want. This is how life should be so that it can benefit me. Or this is how things should be, so hopefully I would be okay, or if I'm not okay, this is. But all of that are stories, and again, then we just talk about my family, my job, my work, my body, my feelings, my sensations, my thoughts, and all of that are products of the imagination. Because all that there is what is it not? If you don't believe the content of the mind, technically speaking, what we're suggesting is that don't believe the imagination. And if you don't believe the imagination, you're at peace. It's not like you're in limbo or you're going to find yourself in a black hole or something like that. No, you're at peace. A loved one made a transition. You don't make a story around it. You're at peace. Your kids are in school. You don't make a story around it. You're at peace. The body feels uncomfortable or whatever. Whatever the case may be, and you don't make a story about it. You're at peace. What I mean is that it's not that you make a story about it, but it better would say that you don't believe the story that the mind is trying to conjure up. By the way, the mind is a thought itself. So let's use another word, play on words. You don't believe that the thought that seems to appear in you, not in you as a person, in you as that which words cannot describe. You follow? You don't believe the content of the mind, you're at peace, and this is what these videos are pointing to. That's why this is not esoteric. I'm not asking you to do anything special. Just notice that life happens. If you don't believe what the mind is telling you about what seems to be happening, and don't even believe the thoughts about the stories the mind is trying to conjure up, you are. And this is what this is all pointing to. The question is, do you really want the experience of being, or do you want the stories? And this is the little subtleness here. Most of us, if we're honest with ourselves, there's certain attraction to the stories. Well, we're not denying the stories in a sense that we're not suppressing anything, we're seeing right through them. If I find myself attracted to someone, for example, or to something, or whatever the case may be, that's fine. I don't have to deny that. It's just simply what happens. But because the priority is inner peace, which is the most important thing, well, if priority is inner peace, I can see the desire, and I can even notice if somehow the me seems to be moving in that direction, but always consciously. Because in the end, if I know that I'm not going to find anything there, usually the desire for that, it just falls by the wayside. You see? So we're not in denial or anything. We're not pretending. Again, a lot of people, to avoid feeling a strong pain, they block memories, But here we're not trying to block memories or anything. We're just getting to the core of who you are. When you know who you are, then even if pain comes up, it's seen as part of the manifestation in what is. But by not allowing the mind to make up stories around it, it doesn't turn into suffering. It simply turns into an experience that is felt, and it continues its journey, and we just move on. We just be. This is all pointing to. That's why, again, right now, this is not about fixing anything in this world of appearances. It's about seeing through the world of appearances while we seem to be living in the world of appearances. You see? So now you relax and you enjoy, and then life is just basically an unfolding of what is, and you're at peace with what is. And this is the peace that surpasses all understanding. Whether a loved one is no longer here, and whether the kids are in school or not, it doesn't matter. You simply are, and resting in that beingness. And that's when you realize that if you don't see it, where is it? And even if you see it, where is it? Let go of the story and know that there is what is. You see? And you are at peace. And well, this is inspiration that came through. I hope it served. And as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can become evident.